I am well. Let's see. Switch. Yes. There we go.
That might help.
Okay. All right. Hey,
My
how's that?
theater background was kicking in there.
Oh.
Hello, back row.
My favorite. Like I said, I don't think we've done this actually in person. I know. We do so many of them
Spooky.
on the computer. I know. It's so bizarre and everything else. So, first of all, how have you been?
I've been good. I mean, we're doing shows, all sorts of cons now, and especially since Barney has a pop, which has been awesome. So, we've got like 8 shows lined up so far, and probably more coming. And that's been great. I've been doing, the graphic design thing, and just starting a little more voice acting, and so yeah, trying to keep busy.
Oh well, you are a man of many talents.
Well, thank you.
That was right too.
I paid him to say that.
Hey, well, tell you, for those that don't know, let's do the origin story. Like,
All right.
where were you in life before this character came into it?
Well, let's see. I had started out in, moved from Pennsylvania to Texas with my family, ended up at Trinity University in San Antonio, and stayed there for a while. And I did all kinds of little things, like one of the things, after I graduated from college, I started doing voiceover because a friend of mine had access to this really great recording studio at our university. So I made the most ridiculously self-absorbed, self-indulgent demo tape known to humankind. And it was just weird. It was just voices and noises and randomness, and 2.5 minutes long, but it actually got me work. So I started doing commercials and narration and all kinds of stuff.
And for our youngins in the audience, this was audio tape.
Yes.
This was the
Yes.
take 2.
That's right. So you had to do the cassette thing. You had to get your cassette to people.
Yeah.
Yes. So there was that, and then I started doing this thing for, I went to work for Via Metropolitan Transit in San Antonio as a communications coordinator in the Community Relations Department, and they had this beloved ad campaign called the Via Buppets. They were bus puppets. They're about that big, like a big loaf of bread or something. And it was a huge smash hit of an ad campaign. And so I got to do puppetry, like from under the mayor's desk, and on a happy, it was really fun for a while there. But then I did, just so much commercial work and everything there, Austin, Dallas, Houston. Had a day where I actually had a session in Dallas, a session in Houston, then a session in San Antonio, thanks to Southwest Airlines, all in one day. So that was fun. So that was kind of the golden era. And then after that, that's when I moved to Dallas for, to keep moving up the ladder. And I got the Chuck E. Cheese thing, and then Barney after that. So,
well, tell us about the Chuck E. Cheese thing.
The Chuck E. Cheese thing. That was cool because I was planning on moving to Dallas in the first place, and the timing was perfect. So, like, they had this audition, or they had submission of tapes, submission of cassettes for what was called Concept Unification. That's when Showbiz Pizza and Chuck E. Cheese merged, and they took all the skins off of the Showbiz Pizza, which is, for a lot of people, is a real tragedy. It was very sad because the Rock-afire, that whole thing was very, very loved. Then they took all the Chucky skins and put those on their animatronics, and so they recast at that time, and that's when I got in that doorway. Yeah, Jasper T. Giles and Pasquale making the pizzas. Yep, yeah,
and all that stuff. And when did this purple fellow blip on your radar?
Not long later. It was just actually like a few months later. I think maybe 6 or something. Dennis DeShazer, one of the creators of the show, came to my agent and said, we're looking for this guy. Maybe he's just kind of funny, and he's friendly, and he's done some character kind of work, that sort of thing, costume characters. And I had done this thing for Humana Hospital Medical City, Dallas, which was a robot character called the Blaster, and that was kind of a fun thing, visiting grade schools and talking about safety or whatever. But my agent said, I have just the guy for you. So we did this whole thing that was like a classic cattle call with everybody in the room. You think of, oh, there's jugglers over here, and there's people doing that, and they started, they wanted to try to cast it, of course, like you would cast a usual walk around or full body puppet, which is one person does both the physical and the voice, like Big Bird and Carol Spinney. But they really didn't know.
He wasn't a real bird.
Well, I'm sorry. Spoilers.
Yeah, we're gonna break the fourth wall of some
sorry.
of the childhood illusions.
Sorry,
so
folks.
if there's anybody out there in the audience that doesn't,
Yeah, just don't send me the bill for the therapy. That's all I
right,
ask.
you
Okay,
know,
all
it's
right.
like, we promise not to say the truth about Santa Claus. We'll tell you that.
That's a what?
Nothing. Go
Oh.
your story, right? Man in
Okay.
a suit, right?
What's he talking about? Anyway, so we did the. They had started building the costume before they cast, which is backwards. You build the costume around the person you cast. I was too tall for the costume they were already building, so they said, "Well, we like your voice, and this guy over here can move much better." And well, they didn't say that, but they like the way this guy moves. And I'm like, "Yes, I don't get to sweat that much. This is great." So I get the nice, clean, dry, cool job, and David Voss at the time, our first Barney buddy, he got that one, and the rest is prehistory, as they say.
And a couple people filled into the body, including anime actor Jason.
It was Josh Martin.
Josh Martin, that's right.
Yes, well, it
And
was David Voss,
David
and
Voss.
then David Joyner.
Right.
He was my main guy during my tenure there.
Yeah.
And there was Josh Martin, and there was Carrie Stinson.
Yes.
And a couple other people as
And
well.
Josh was the one that caught on fire.
Yes, Josh's nickname to this day is Smokey, because they had a cooling fan inside the suit. And one day while they're shooting, and this was on PBS shoot because he did some of the episodes. It's like, hey, I'm fire. There's you know, and it was burning. It wasn't actually like flames or anything. It was just smoke starting to fill the costume. Get this off of me!
It's like it's right out of a comedy film.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the exact thing you would expect to have in that, you
Yeah,
know.
except
that sort-
yeah, but it didn't turn into a what was it, White Snake nightclub thing
Oh,
with
yeah.
the foam and everything. But yeah,
all that
very
stuff.
nasty.
Absolutely. What? How would it typically work? Were you brought in at the beginning or the end? Were the record lines first and the control it, or you were off to the side? Right.
Neither one. We did it in real time.
Real time. Okay.
Yes, we did this thing called we ended up calling Dino Sync, which was weird because you're not supposed to do it that way. You're supposed to have one person or dub it later. But we just figured out this way to follow each other and pick up each other's rhythms and habits and vibes and everything. And so I would talk, and whoever was in the costume would move the mouth, and I would follow them, and they would follow me at the same time, and it actually worked. Which is everybody in the business who does puppetry and everything. What? That shouldn't work, but it did. So.
My Disney experience when I did the Muppet Mobile Lab, when I was doing the voice of Bunsen Honeydew, I could control his head, but somebody else was controlling where the car went.
Right.
And it was just like, you're turning me in this direction, and I'm still talking to this person. So
Yeah.
Building that synchronicity is an incredible feat. I mean, in classic puppeteering or modern puppeteering, that's really a technical achievement.
Well, thank you. It's just plain weird. Is what it was. But we did. It happened, and the best thing that we did was live performances. Like when we did Radio City Music Hall. That was wild. I mean, I have a story that I tell about when we started. We were in rehearsals. There was a preview that we did, and we had this guy who was mixing sound. He was down like 3 levels below the stage in the shop level, and we had 3 whisper rooms with these are portable booths, and he's mixing sound over here, and I'm going, can you turn up the audience for me? It's got mics on. No, come on, more. So eventually I got it to where I felt like I was on stage. So that was where the energy came from. And so that's where, that was the thing where I felt like I was out there, and, David Joyner's doing his thing. He's doing his 360s about a mile high. And so, yeah, I mean, it wasn't supposed to work, but it did.
Absolutely. When did you begin to realize that Barney had eclipsed expectations?
There were people, like Carrie Stinson and a team went out on the road, like down the East Coast, doing sing-alongs, and they were the ones who first kind of got a whiff of that because they would have crowds show up that were just way beyond capacity, you know. And so my first taste of that was when we were doing pledge breaks for the PBS stations. We went to Connecticut Public Television at the time, and in Hartford, Connecticut. We did an appearance. We were scheduled to do an appearance at Hartford Civic Center Mall. And Larry Rifkin, who was the man who actually brought with his daughter Barney to PBS, he told us, yeah, we're expecting about 600 people to show up. And we said, so how long have you been promoting this? And he said, about a week. So you've been promoting this for a week, and no, you're going to have more. We thought, well, maybe 1,000, maybe 1,600 or something. We drove up to the mall, and the sidewalks were lined with moms and strollers and dads, and it was just like packed. And we're going, I think we may be in trouble. Yeah. So we got into the inside, and there's one of those center court kind of things, and it's 3 levels, and the bottom level, it totally packed with people all the way out into the corridors. And then the second level was about 10 people deep at the railing. Third level was about 3 people deep at the railing. And eventually we sort of counted that we're about 6,000 people who showed up and just packed that area. And it was supposed to be a meet and greet, not just like a performance. Yeah. And we had to have Polaroids. So we sent runners out all across Hartford.
That's the one that you'd shake.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we had all these runners go out and buy up not only film, but also extra cameras. And we got back. Yeah. And Larry got us, we went back into the staging area, and Larry's going, oh, we can't do this. We can't do this. We're going, but we have to do this. You have to understand, it's one of those show must go on things.
Yeah,
so,
and
we
for
have an
that
obligation.
particular break, even though it was before social media, you were really in a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
Because, you'll have several thousand, moms and crying kids. That's not a good optic.
Yeah, what a riot that would have been. Man. So we ended up
dirty diapers everywhere.
Yeah. We ended up staying 5 hours, I think it was. Yeah.
That's actually less than I would have thought,
Yeah. We just cranked through them. It was amazing how they really bought up all the Polaroid film and all the Polaroid cameras in town.
I absolutely believe that. So
it was wild.
Wow.
The thing that was really amazing about it was when we first came out, he made his first entrance. We came down an elevator from where the staging room was, and we come out. The elevator doors open, and they had opened like a little corridor through the crowd, and the doors open, and this roar just rolls through the entire mall. Just, it was like, ladies and gentlemen, the Rolling Stones. It was crazy. It really was. And people, there's like bodyguards and everything, and there are people just reaching out, and they were touching my jacket, and it was wild. It was like the Beatles happening there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Coming off the plane.
Yeah.
Beatles at LaGuardia moment.
Yes, exactly. It was surreal.
Oh my goodness. What's the best memory you've taken from all this?
Well, I mean, the best long-term memories, I guess, would be just the privilege of being able to be part of this. And when you have people come up to your table and they can't even talk and they just burst into tears, and they're crying for like a minute and a half or something, or people describe their experiences with watching the show with family, and they've lost somebody, and it's just they just the waterfall starts. You come to realize how much the character and the show and touched people when they were kids, and that's pretty amazing. I mean, we have a lot of great memories of actually creating the show. Radio City Music Hall was a dream come true. Hey, Whitney Houston, sorry, but we outsold you at Radio City. So, it was just, wild things like that, and just the experience of that crowd. But it's really this lasting thing of folks coming up to me who are in their 30s now, who were like 3, right? And we get to talk about all these memories. That's amazing.
It is. And I think I said this. I was much older than I would have been, but and I was aware of the popularity of the character, and I was mostly aware from just all the parodies and satirization.
Right. And those,
seemed like
and those pajamas that you had too.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. It was like it seemed like the SNLs and the morning DJs always just love. I mean, Barney became a kind of a national punching bag for easy humor.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term. But I remember I was on a road trip with some extended family, and they had the little TV in the minivan, and we watched one of the specials, and I was just like, hey, this character is teaching kids the right way to cross the street, look left, then right, then left again. Is teaching them why you shouldn't jump on a bed, otherwise, you break your neck and everything else too. I was just like, no, I get it. I absolutely get it.
I appreciate it. You've said that before, and I really appreciate hearing that from you, because all these people, it's anti-intellectual. It's like, dude, it's meant for people who are 0 to 3 or 6 years old. That's not anti-intellectual. It's just, talking to them at a level they can understand. It's just what it is. And if it is just like all those guys that was the beat up. It's like, this isn't meant for you. Right.
It's like, you're the guys like going to the mall when Santa's there yelling.
Yeah, and I mean, the folks who would do that sort of thing. I mean, I said in the Peacock documentary, I said, I think I did a camera turn and said, maybe they need a hug. I mean, seriously, these are folks who probably had some childhood trauma. They didn't have a great childhood. They weren't allowed to be a kid, and so they don't have that emotional cushion themselves, so they can't relate to it. And so I think, a lot of that hatred came from people who literally could have used that show when they were a kid to be able to deal with childhood, So, yeah.
Well, it's been a magnificent run that you had and an incredible legacy. And I've said this before. It's like, thank you for your talents and thank you for your professionalism and giving voice to this wonderful character that's going to outlast us all. And
what? Well, I've been around for, 60 million, 90 million years already, so... what can I say? No bragging.
All right, I'm going to go ahead. So who's got a question? Just raise your hand. I'll bring the microphone to you. We're got a real easy group. All right, this one right here.
Who's my first victim?
Hi, what's your name?
JP.
Hey, JP, we met earlier, didn't we? Did we?
Did we?
No, I don't know. Did we?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, you kind of touched on this. It's like a lot of fandoms. It's probably a bunch of neckbeards, that don't like the show. But what else do you think maybe? Are there any other factors do you think maybe powered the negative backlash against the character in the show?
Well, I think it was like the Peacock documentary. I think it was a little amplified on the violence and hatred side, but I think there were a lot of things that they got right, and I think they had a sociologist there who talked about like the zeitgeist, the changing times, and how we're coming from an era where you've got sitcoms and everything that are just so innocent and uplifting, and everything's just kind of rosy. Yes, and then we're moving through that into little more edgy stuff, and then here comes like punk music, punk rock, and things just took a turn for the darker in general in the overall culture. And so when you have that, and you've got Barney coming out at the same time, which is just this kind of ultimate kind of paragon of innocence, there's going to be that backlash against it from the people who are not sleeping well at night because they have bad dreams from their childhood. It's just it's really sad, but I've always tried to come at it from a standpoint of the folks who were the loudest are the folks who just we need to empathize with the most, help them through whatever.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, and again, from the parents' perspective, because VHS tapes and play it again. I don't begrudge parents from getting a little eye rolling from hearing the same songs again. Yeah.
But we did give them like a half an hour for a shower.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, who's got another one? It's like, all right. Hey, what's your name?
Robbie.
Howdy.
Was there a point where the backlash and negativity got to you?
Yeah, me personally, I didn't get nearly as much as some of the folks did. Some of the cast, like the cast kids, when they went back to school, because they were schooled at the studio for a long time, and then they went back to the public schools and everything. They got some harassment, and they kind of took it hard when they were kids. But I personally actually got some death threats from middle schoolers, believe it or not. This is a time back when there was no social media, and the internet was just getting started. And I had been on the internet even before the internet was really very public. And believe it or not, AOL was a cool place to be, strangely enough. Yeah. Yes. You've got mail, yes. Yeah, so there was that. And my email address, my handle, was publicly available, and everybody on AOL knew it, and nobody bothered me. It was cool. Then a guy named Seth Godin wrote a book called Email Addresses of the Rich and Famous, and published my email address with a bunch of others. That got sent around to K through 12 schools, got into computer labs, and kids started sending emails at the encouragement of their lab professor or the English person or whoever was teaching. And so I got these emails, and some of them were very nice, but some of them were threats and very specific. And so I tried to connect with whoever's supervising, and a lot of the kids would write back and go, "I didn't realize there was a human being on the other end," which is kind of what's going on right now on social media too. But yeah, I mean, I had that, and Bob Singleton, he actually got some phone calls that were threatening him and his family. But in general, it hasn't been that bad for me. But I think it's just been, I've just felt really bad for the people who've had it worse than me. Yeah.
On this side over here.
There he is.
Hi, what's your name?
My name's Ashani.
Hello.
I was just wondering, I'm sure you've gotten this question like a billion times, but do you have any advice for someone who wants to get started in voiceover and voice acting in general?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do, and there's a lot of paths you can take to get into voice acting. There's a couple of things. The basics are classes. Take lots of classes. Try to get recommendations, find reviews and stuff. You can do online classes. Some are Zoom classes, which are great a lot of times. Try to find out, do your research to find the ones that have the best reputation, and take as many as you can. You don't have to buy, and as a matter of fact, you shouldn't buy expensive equipment right off the bat. It's just, don't bother doing it, especially if you find out that you aren't necessarily, made for it, or that you don't really like it after all, or whatever. You won't be stuck with equipment. Eventually, it's you have to buy some equipment, but yeah, taking classes. And these days you don't have to have an agent, but still, in order to have a proper professional career, you do. And just going through one of the pay-to-play websites, Voices 1, 2, 3, and that sort of thing, that will get you some work. But generally, it's going to be very low paying. And if you have lots of work out there that's low pay work, you won't necessarily build a great reputation. Get a demo made. The advice on that is have somebody who knows what they're doing make your demo for you, unless you are a genius already at direction, cutting, sound effects, mixing, all that stuff, which most people are definitely not. When you can afford it, find somebody to do a decent demo for you. Other than that, just keep after it, and also don't quit your day job, whatever you do, because it's rough. It's very competitive. So, but go for it.
Although you don't look old enough to have a day job yet, do you?
I'm about to be 22.
Oh, gracious. Okay, I
see
stand
there.
corrected. Okay, all right. Well, in that case, then I'll just give you that, and I will also say D. Bradley Baker has a wonderful website. I'm aware of that, voiceacting.com, and Steve Bloom has another one as well too. And I always throw this out too as well for people your age and younger. You have the ability to create your own stuff.
Yes.
Now, and look in that direction.
Yes.
You know, look in that direction. Create your own characters that you voice and you curate and stuff like that, and throw it out there. And as Steve Martin said, be so good they can't ignore you.
Right. That's the thing. A lot of people think it's, you know, oh, I have a great imitation of Barney or an imitation of this person or that person, and you will almost never in your career get hired to imitate somebody else ever. You know, to recreate some character. Virtually all the work that you will get, you will be asked to come in and create a character on the spot, and that's what you need to be able to do, and that is really important. So yeah.
And don't ever believe it when the director says, "I see, that's what I was looking for all along." No. He waited for you to come in and do something awesome, and then he'd fake it. Oh, that's what I wanted all along. We got time for one or two more. Okay,
Yes.
yeah. Hey, what's your name?
My name is Brittany.
Hi.
My question was, I know that there's a new Barney series out, the animated show. I personally like the old stuff, always and forever. How do you feel about the new stuff coming out? I know children's programming has gotten a lot different these days. There's other shows like Bluey and stuff out like that, and I just wanted to see what your opinion of the new stuff coming out was.
The new animated show, I have not actually seen. I don't think I've seen a full episode. I've seen clips here and there. I haven't sat down, and I probably should just kind of binge it just to see where it is. Like the design of the character, the redesign of the character, I think he's pretty cute. I think I understand what they've done, especially like with the frog brow. A lot of that has to do with emotion and being able to communicate the emotion, because Barney, the joke is with Barney, for the writers, they have this sheet where it's one image in a grid, same image. It was like, remember, this is Barney, happy, sad, angry. You know, it always looks the same because the face didn't move. So, you know, that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, the energy's good, and as long as they're kind of honoring the intent of the original series, which is acceptance and inclusion and imagination and love, as long as they're serving those goals, then I think they're probably doing it right.
Cool. Great question. Thank you.
Yes.
Got time for one more. I think so. Yeah. Hey, what's your name?
Hi, my name's Sam.
Hi.
I was just wondering what your process was when you were developing the voice for Barney. Like, did you get it right away, or was there kind of like different versions until you felt like, yeah, this is Barney?
Yeah, there was. It's a story as old as time. There was this audition, and when I went in and I did the audition, they did it in a way that's very common, and that is they show you a model sheet or a sketch of the character, and then they have a description of the character and how he acts and everything, and said, he's big and he's friendly and he's this and that. And so I came up with a voice that actually was pretty close to the voice that I ended up doing in the PBS series. But they said, they cast me right then and there, but they had, when we got into production, they said, we've been thinking we'd like him to sound bigger. He's a T-Rex, so we want him to sound bigger. Still friendly, and so
I drove it way down in my range like this. Oh, hello, Tina, and the voice,
the laugh ended up being almost like Santa Claus or something. And so doing that way down in my range didn't give me a lot of room to modulate up and down, which is the thing that really gets communication going and is friendlier as well. And I kept going to him, maybe we could bring it up. It's hard for me to maintain that physically as well. So eventually, when we got to PBS, Dennis DeShazer, one of the creators, came to me and said, okay, we think it's time to bring it up. And that's where we got to back to a voice that was very much like the one I did in the audition. So,
and what did that sound like?
You're asking me, you already know.
Do I? Oh, that's right. Nobody knows what they sound like until they wear headphones. And I don't wear headphones. I just walk around. I kill myself sometimes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Patty. I know. Sorry.
No, it's all right, Barney. We were so glad to have you here today.
Thanks, buddy. It's nice to be here.
Oh, it's very, very good. Very good. So, you got your shows and all that stuff going on. You continue on. So, does Bob have anything up on the horizon you'd like to share with us?
Oh, Bob, do you have anything?
I heard him. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yes, I do this at home. No, I don't. I'm sorry. No, yeah, I have various things. I've got lots of cons coming up this year, and I've also got a couple of other side businesses that I do. I do graphic design for TV and film. I don't know if you know that. I've worked for the Muppets several times, Muppets Mayhem, the Muppets ABC. I also have a fiction podcast that I'm working on right now that hopefully somebody at a big studio will buy from me. And so that will hopefully start happening production-wise within the next 6 months or so. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, and I write. Yeah.
Yep. Well, we will stay tuned. Absolutely. It's like, again, thank you so much for joining us here today. You'll be back at the table after this, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, so you had a question or something like that, stop on by his table. I got lots of neat stuff. One final question. You want to take a picture with the audience?
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely. Come on down, everybody.
Everybody wants to come towards the stage, not on the stage.
Yes, please.